Hello you lovely people and welcome. In this video we'll be doing a cruise, approach, landing and shutdown demo in the GotFriends F4F-4 Wildcat. Just before I do that, we're going to go over some V-speeds. I've got my hands on the manual. So we have a VS of 59 knots, VSO of 69 knots, VC of 219 knots, VNE of 430 knots, VFE 130 knots, VY 125 knots, VTO 70 knots, and VREF of 73 knots. So as you can see, there's a very fine line between VREF and VSO, so you might want to be careful on the approach. With that, I'm just going to get it in cruise setup, and then we will head towards Lexington and do a carrier landing, Duxford for a field landing, and then a shutdown tutorial demo. So let's jump into the aircraft. So for best cruise, first thing we really need to do is to shut the canopy. Quieter in here, and I'm going to make sure that the gear is raised, which it is. We're going to make sure that the emergency fuel pump is off, which it is. Landing light is off, which it is. Approach lights are off, which they are. Elevator trim in as required, along with rudder trim and aileron trim. Gun sight as required, gun sight brightness as required, and then windshield de-ice as required. We're cruising along quite nicely here. We're doing looks like about 200 knots, so just under the good cruise speed of 219. So just flown over the Lexington, and we're going to make the approach now. Just make sure that it's still down there. Can't imagine it got very far. There it is. Quite high up, so I'm gonna jump cut this to a more appropriate altitude, and then we'll get it into approach configuration. Right, so we've got the Lexington just over to the left hand side there. So going to get into our approach configuration through the checklist. So jettison any remaining ordnance, bombs and fuel tanks we do not have any of, so we can skip that. Landing light on, approach light on, should be on if you're below 10,000 feet anyway. Elevator trim, rudder trim, aileron trim all set to neutral. Tail wheel unlocked. Landing flaps down, gear down, and then tail hook. So depending on VFE, which we are below, we can now drop the flaps, we can now drop the gear, and we can do the tail hook. We can also open the canopy, and we can also open the cowl flaps. Sure that's all the way back. There we go. Now the stall speed with everything in the dirty position is 69 knots, and we have a landing speed of 73 knots, so you don't want to be approaching that too much. Too much of a fine line between flying and crashing. Just trimming out here. Okay. Hate landing on the Lexington. It just feels too narrow. A bit like landing on a Tarawa or an America class amphibious assault ship. Right. Approach speed is probably a little bit too quick, but I'm not great with prop aircraft and carrier landings. I can't see what I'm doing or where I'm going. Okay, and we're down. Not the best approach or touchdown in the world, but we are on the deck, which is always a good thing. Just stick the parking brakes on quickly. One of the waves just breached the top of the deck there. Right, okay, so well, that was the aircraft carrier approach. Now on to Duxford. Okay, so we've got Duxford to my 11 o'clock. We're going to make the approach now, get into the approach configuration. Jettison remaining ordnance, which we don't have any of. We know we have no bombs or fuel tanks. Put the landing light on. Approach light on. We're below 10,000 feet, so it should already be on. Trim handles in both elevator, rudder and aileron to the neutral position. Tail wheel should be locked. Landing flaps down. We need to get below VFE. Pretty sharpish. Okay, so 130 knots. Flaps down, gear down, tail hook as required. We're not approaching a carrier, so we're all good there. Okay, we're going to go for the grass strip. So I'm going to fly over arc and then down onto the grass strip, taxi through to the hangar, and we're going to park up and then go through the shutdown and secure checklist. Back, and we're down. Brakes on. Slow the aircraft down. We can turn off. Canopy. Put the flaps up at the same time while we've still got aircraft power. Okay, so we are going to do the shutdown and secure checklist. So tail hook retracted, we didn't use it, so it's still in the up position. Landing flaps up, which they are, and we can check that now because we need to verify that so that we can fold the wings. You can see they're up. Okay, next we need to turn the landing light off. Do that now. Okay, smoke generator is off, we never used that. Landing flaps we've just verified, magnetos off. Okay, fuel selector off. Down here. The fuel pump is off there. And then we can do the prop pitch lever, pull that all the way out. The generator switch, we make sure that that's off. Parking brakes or chocks on, which they are now. Tail wheel is in the lock position. The oxygen valve is off. We never used the oxygen, we didn't get high enough for it. Windshield de-ice is off, we never used that because it's quite a warm day. Pitot heat off, and there we go, we've got that, that's off. Section lights, all these lights down here can be switched off. And then cowling flaps to closed. Make sure they're in. Master battery off. Wings can now be folded. Let's switch here. And the canopy is already open. And now we can disembark as the aircraft is now secure. Now if we jump outside, it's ready to be towed into the hangar and kept away from the elements. So, yeah, that's the checklist covered in this video for cruising, approach and secure shutdown. So I hope you've got something from this and got this far. I appreciate it. And as always, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.